Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. This is Jake Novis with Catano Lawful Realty Services, here with Henry Rojas from Rojas Empire. Today we're going to be talking about Bill 23. This is the More Homes Built Faster Act. We're going to learn what this bill is about, what are some changes to expect, and how this could impact some of our investment projects and our clients. Henry, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, man, for inviting me.
Yeah.
Happy to discuss anything to do with the investment properties or anything to do with Bill 23.
Yeah, you're quite the expert. It's a 70-page document, but it sounds like you've read through the whole thing a couple of times.
Yeah, it's quite a handful to read into, but honestly, it's like all these specific points I kind of have to interpret a little bit differently.
Can you tell us a bit about, I guess, your company, what services you provide, and then also what is Bill 23 and how it impacts what projects you guys are working on?
For sure, definitely. So my company is an architectural firm here in Mississauga. We specialize in the custom homes, house additions, and now we're heading more into the multiplex conversions.
Okay.
Right, so we help homeowners from the initial design phase, even before that zoning phase, all the way until the permit's released, and even a little bit after that for construction purposes.
Okay.
Anything happens on site, we're kind of there to help you out.
Nice. So you're there the entire project, which
we're there. Like quick phone call, you got quick questions for something about that, something to do with sites. We're there to help you out.
Fantastic. And those projects are becoming extremely common these days with duplex conversions, triplex projects, additional units. So you're probably pretty busy with those.
No, definitely. Everybody's trying to convert now, especially with Bill 23 out. Now it's opened a wide door for people to kind of do more qualities now.
Yeah. So what are some of the key items and changes that we can expect from Bill 23, and why was it introduced?
Yeah, no, definitely. So the main issue, like the main key points to take away from Bill 23, Schedule 3, Schedule 9, is that number 3 is more the development charges.
Okay.
And that it was so expensive when you start adding more units to your properties, right?
Right.
You add more units, you have to pay development charges. These can lead up to from like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 per unit.
Wow.
Right. We had those situations where we've, worked on 8+ units on an existing building, and we had to pay like 200,000 or more.
Wow, just in development charges.
Just in development charges. That's separate from the city fees, permit reviews, and anything else to do with that.
Okay, wow.
Right? Now, with Bill 23 out, they're going to give you some sort of discount depending on how many bedrooms you're adding to these units.
Okay.
So if it's a 1 bedroom, you get like 15% off. 2 bedrooms, you get another discount off, and so on and so on.
And so it's making it a little more affordable to develop these units.
100%.
Nice.
So it makes it a little bit easier. Additionally, they're also going to cancel out the whole development charges if you're making affordable units.
Okay.
Right.
And so is that based on size and rental amount that you're charging?
So they're defining affordable units to be 80% of the average market rent.
Okay.
So if you can rent out for like 1,000, but you're going to call it affordable unit and rent out for 800, then you would fall under that section, and you don't have to pay any development charges.
And I'm wondering, because we're obviously developing more units into the same property in some instances that are smaller units, if those are lower rents just because they're smaller units, does that qualify for the affordable rent?
Yes, as long as it's just, again, there are whole definitions of average market rent from that whole year prior to it. Mm-hmm. So as long as you meet that requirement, you're fine with anything affordable.
Okay, fantastic. So development charges is a big one. Any other items that we should expect or big changes?
Schedule 9 was mostly the big change in allowing people to do triplex.
Right, that's the one that has everybody talking, everybody's excited. I can build a triplex anywhere now, right?
Yeah, that's the whole idea now. The Planning Act is basically the Bible for anything to do with anything zoning in regards to that, right? And Bill 23 is part of the Planning Act. So that overrules most of the city's current zoning. The issue we have now is that even though you can do a triplex, each city, you still need to ask them if you can do in that specific area. It has any sort of preliminary issues with that. This Bill 23 is so new in the last almost 2 months now that we still have to go to the city telling them can you do a triplex, even though the current zoning that you're looking to this property today on the map says it only allows a single family. Right. They haven't had a chance to update anything yet. It's still brand new. They're still working out the kinks in the back door.
Yeah.
Right, to fix it up and update their official plans and such.
Okay, so it sounds like this maybe doesn't impact all municipalities the exact same way. It's on a case-by-case basis still.
Case by case. We still have to contact the city asking them, this is what we're planning to do. What are your thoughts on it? Do you have any issues? We know Bill 23 is released and approved. Right? It's in force. It's in effect as of January 1st, 2023.
Right.
Right? So do you any issues? And they'll tell me right away yes or no.
Okay, right. So what I'm hearing is that you still have to pay attention to the zoning. You can't just ignore zoning and say I can build a legal triplex purpose-built on any lot now or turn any property into a triplex. It really depends on the city, how they're interpreting it, and how you're working with them.
Yeah, they'll allow you to do so. We're working with a couple cities right now, like Hamilton, Toronto, they've been pretty, reasonable there. They're like, go for it, right?
Right.
And in other cities a little bit outside GTA, I'm having some conversation with them. They're just saying like they're not going to support the idea. They're still working out the back doors, back ends of it, trying to see if they'll allow it or not.
Right.
Right. Now we have to reconfirm, like, we're saying triplex, but it's really 3 units per lot. So you can do it in any configuration between like 3 units within the same building, or like duplex, 2 units, and then ADU.
Right, so I think a lot of us are used to seeing the classic bungalow with a basement duplex. That has been the standard across many towns for quite some time. Now, moving into Build 23 and the changes, what type of new projects will we see? Because investors are obviously going to be widening their scope of what to look for in the market and what they can convert to. So how do you see new projects going? Is it always going to be an additional unit, or making room within the same building, or additions? Like, what do you expect to see?
So far we've seen a couple scenarios from investors that we're working with right now, where one of them is coming back to me saying like they have a 2-story house, they rent out the main floor and second floor as 1 unit, and the basement's another unit.
Okay.
They want to convert the second floor into a 3rd unit now that Build 23 is released.
Right.
So that's one option that we're trying to do into, right? Second floor units, and just making sure it has that exits, the required exits, and following everything with building code. Because let's keep in mind, Build 23 does not affect anything in building code. We still have to follow the fire separation, sound rating, everything to do with a normal conversion.
Yeah, so this isn't just a shortcut that I can cut any unit in half and call it a legal unit. I still have to follow everything that we've had to stick to previously for the building code.
Yes, 100%.
Got it.
Right, so we've seen that situation. We've seen other scenarios where they're trying to do an addition on the back end. Right, they have great tenants right now. The problem is a lot of people have these legal duplexes now with great tenants on their main and basement.
Yep.
They don't want to kick them out or do any construction that affects their living situation.
Right.
So what we're trying to do is do a rear side addition to these properties, and that's maybe make a 1-bedroom or bachelor unit away from the building itself. It's like a house addition plus conversion.
Nice. That's a great option if somebody has the lot space, because I know a lot of investors used to purchase with extra land or larger lots just to think, what could I do in the future? So if you have the extra space and you can just build an addition, that way you're not disrupting that tenant, you still get a large unit on the main floor, you keep that rent, and you're just really adding to that property, which is better than taking away some of their spaces.
No, 100%. It's a lot cheaper than doing another new building itself, whether it's a garden suite or coach house, wherever you want to call it, ADU.
Yeah.
Right? You're building into the existing building.
Nice. And I expect with a lot of these properties, we'll see some units come up that are a lot smaller than we used to see. So if we are splitting that main floor into 2 units, we're probably getting much smaller units. How big are those units that you're seeing, and how are you guys accommodating for those to still make it a comfortable place for a good tenant?
So what I tell investors now is, like, you check your portfolio, see what you have. If your main floor is about 1,000 square feet, right, then we can split that into half. Like, 1 bedroom is 500, the other bedroom is 500.
Okay.
Like right now with my current investment portfolio, my 1 bedrooms are about 500 square feet, and they're pretty comfortable there. Right? Anything smaller, you might have to look into a bachelor, right? But everybody knows 1 bedrooms like rent out a lot faster.
Definitely, obviously it's a hot commodity in the current market. It's more affordable, and if you could build them, I'm sure your team handles the design pretty well to make them comfortable and user-friendly units. If they're attractive to good tenants, they'll fill up quickly.
No, 100%. It's just trying to follow building code requirements, and the building code has so many rules and regulations regarding like natural lighting, room areas, and all the above.
Yeah.
Right. The one thing that really doesn't really affect too much is kitchen designs.
Okay.
We're working with some investors right now that are starting to do micro kitchens, like 4 feet, 5 feet wide. Right, and it meets all the building code requirements. It has a stove, it has a fridge, it has everything you need.
Yeah.
It's just not your traditional 8 feet wide kitchen or an island, because you don't have the space for these smaller unit conversions.
Right, so that's a great solution then to get around that.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about obviously the duplex and triplex, but what size of projects does this cover? Are there larger investors that we should be speaking with on how they can handle their projects, or what size range should we be approaching with this new bill?
So the most common one that we're seeing right now with some of our bigger investors is this whole site plan control issue.
Okay.
Where it's not like you need site plan control for any residential units over 10 brand new units, right?
Right.
So with Bill 23, if your development is 10 units or less in residential, then you don't need site plan control.
At all?
At all.
Okay.
At all. Before in the past, it's in the planning act that you need site plan control. Even if you're adding brand new units in a vacant lot, or you're converting anything within the existing building, you need site plan control, or you're touching anything exterior.
And now you can just skip that whole entire phase.
You can skip the whole entire phase.
And so for some people that maybe aren't familiar with site plan control, what is that process? Is there a timeline or a cost to it? And what's the benefit of skipping that entirely?
Right. So in the past, like before Bill 23, for any of our residential projects or any commercial projects too, is that site plan control, if it falls under that area, we would need to submit to the city site plan that shows all the landscaping, parking requirements, anything to do with a proposal, and they would evaluate that and review it for any sort of issues with any of those items.
Right, they're reviewing the entire site, all those aspects you just mentioned.
100%, right? And there was a lot of back and forth back in the day where it's like the normal site plan control review time was ranging between 3 to 6 months, depending on the city's workload at that time and all the individuals were involved in that. It's not just one examiner you're working with, you're working with other departments in that section. You are looking at the whole site in general.
Okay.
So you're having a lot of people looking into this.
Right, so now you're going to be saving a lot of time. I'm not sure what that timeline usually looks like, but obviously that's going to help investors move projects along quicker and get more units on the market faster.
Oh, 100%. You're skipping that phase now. Instead of waiting for 6 months before you even start doing the permit submission, you skip that, go for your permit submission, and they'll review it at that time.
Right.
So even though we're saying you skip that phase, it's being pushed to a different part of that whole process.
Okay.
So they're still going to be reviewing it, just not, they're not going to be stopping you at the site plan control area.
Okay,
right?
fantastic.
They're going to be pushing to the zoning review area, and
Right.
they'll be responsible for looking at some items there.
Okay, and I know along with that process is going through the committee of adjustments when you are doing conversions or additional units. Is that process going to change at all as well, or what should we expect?
So with community adjustments now, they've changed, with Bill 23, they've changed the whole aspect of that in that your neighbors can no longer kind of appeal anything anymore, right?
Okay.
In the past, you go for a minor variance and your neighbors can say whatever they want.
Right, we've had a lot of issues obviously with NIMBYism, not in my backyard. People don't want more units in their neighborhood, so now that's going to be less of an issue?
100%.
Okay.
Right, the neighbors have no say anymore with that whole issue anymore. It's more like any of like the representatives from like the railways, Hydro One, any of these people, they can have their say, but most of the time they won't unless it affects their work.
Right, so I know a couple investors who have had projects delay for many months just because somebody on the street or didn't like what they were doing, not even for any specific reason, but just that they just didn't want it there. So now we're not going to worry about that as much.
No, you don't have to worry about that.
That's fantastic.
So it's great that you don't have to worry about your neighbors, because still some investors are kind of like, I don't want make my neighbors upset, I don't want to cause any issues there. We have a great relationship, right?
Yeah.
But now they just can't say anything anymore. They can complain,
For
right?
sure.
They can bring it to your attention, but they can't do anything officially.
Right, and everybody's going to complain. Obviously, some people are against this bill, some people are for it. There's every side to the story. But now we're basically going to be able to get more units in the market easier. And then there's a lot to this, obviously, with the committee of adjustments, the site plan, dealing with every individual municipality. Are you handling the entire process for your clients, and what does that look like from your end?
No, so how we kind of approach these projects now is that investors are coming to me with, we have this address, where's property's potential that we can do with this? I have this legal duplex I did 4 years ago. I'm about to refinance it maybe next year. I want to see if I can do a triplex. What are your thoughts on this? Can I look into it? What can we do? What have you done in the past? What does the city say right now? Depending on each, whichever city you're telling me you bought that property at, you check with the city planners. And if we can't do it, we guide you through that whole way from like going on site, measuring, designing, coordinating with any engineers that we need to work with, like the HVAC or structural.
Right.
Right. And if we do need minor variance, we work with the planners there, right? And then take you along the way until you get your permit issued.
Okay.
Right. We're even opening the fact that we're going to be like working with contractors in those specific areas to let them like bid on these projects and work with them throughout the entire way to make sure it's done properly and as to design.
And I'm sure the contractors prefer and benefit from that. The city probably prefers that because you're the expert and you've dealt with that process before, opposed to an owner going to the city and not really knowing how to handle the process. So I'm sure it's quicker and easier from every side.
No, 100%. And even the city seems to recognize that because by law, you can actually, like any homeowner that owns the land, they can actually submit for permits themselves legally. The only issue is that the city most of the time rejects it because they're not professionally developed.
Okay.
Right, their drawings or their information is not really there. They don't understand the building code as well as myself. I know, right? So they benefit greatly from working with me in terms of just, I'm there as a project manager helping you along the way.
Right, because every project obviously has some risk of not going through, and the more that expertise you have to push that project along, just the higher chance of success you have for that project being successful. So working with yourself, obviously, from start to finish, greatly improves that chance of success versus a homeowner who might just miss something or not even capitalize on the highest end use of their property and miss something that they could have done as well.
No, 100%, right? It's always good to pick brains and, I'm open to having a discussion with people preliminarily. Like, obviously, I go to these investor meetups, I discuss what I've done in the past, what they've done in the past, and we kind of compare notes to see, oh man, I could have done what this person did 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Right? It's always good to share this information, see if it could work.
So obviously there's a lot of smaller towns that investors are now going out to as big cities become more expensive, so those smaller towns probably haven't seen some of the projects done in the big cities. So you have a better chance of bringing a project to them, showing them what you've done, and trying to replicate that and help build up that town's or city's bylaws to match or to interpret Bill 23 differently as well.
Yeah, so anything with Bill 23 or the current zoning, or even the building code itself, right? What they allow and what they don't allow.
Right.
So just bring that level of education from the big city to the small town and trying to help them understand it a little bit better.
Amazing. So you're just running all the cities now at this point.
Well, it's good to learn from different cities' perspective too, right? It just,
Yeah.
I'm open to learn and grow from every city, right? And bring that knowledge to every other situation I'm in, right? Because the more I'm involved with different situations, the more I can bring to the table to my investor groups to like say this works in this city or this works that doesn't work in that city because of ABC.
Right, and you're an investor yourself, obviously you have your own properties, so you're not just doing this for clients, you're trying to help build it for your portfolio and just help benefit everybody in the community, learn and grow across the cities and together.
Yeah, 100%. So, I started my portfolio with a single family home, bought it in Welland back in July 2021, right, during this whole pandemic situation.
Mm-hmm.
And to myself, when I bought it, I'm like, I could easily convert this to a duplex, but, being the way I was like, maybe I'll convert it to a triplex and test it out.
Right.
If I'm going to go into this investment journey, I might as well go big or go home type of situation.
Nice.
And I did.
And what is that property now?
It's converted. We're looking for some renters now, and it's just like it was a lot of work for 3 units. That's what I can say.
It's a big project, yeah. And this doesn't mean that now that we can do 3 units, it's going to be easy. Obviously, it's going to be a lot of work still. But you need to know what you're doing, and at the end of the day, now you have obviously a converted property, which is going to be bringing a ton of rental income, I'm sure, and obviously a great long-term hold for you. What other types of properties do you yourself have or with your clients, and are there any good examples that you can use, maybe how you're going to use Bill 23 with a specific example to help grow your portfolio or clients, maybe an example we can look at?
So some properties we're working with some investors right now as like a JV partnership, is we bought two properties in St. Catharines on a corner lot that we merged together, right? And we're trying to build a new 9-unit, 3-story apartment building into this land, right? So originally we bought the corner lot, and then we decided we might as well buy the land beside it. It was just a vacant parking lot.
Oh, but just playing Monopoly on that corner. So they were both vacant at the start?
Yeah, so the corner one was like a 5-plex empty building, right? It is what it is. We bought it just because we were looking to maybe add 2 more units to it originally. And then we, the parking lot was beside it, which was being unused. So we're like, okay, let's buy that property and let's just merge them together to see what we can do with this merged lots, right? Originally, we were looking at doing like a few minor additions to it, but now that we have merged the lot, we're proposing like the new 9-unit, 3-story apartment building from the ground up. So it's like a brand new building.
That's massive value then.
100%. We came into it like 12, 15 units, but because of the size and number of units you can have on a lot, right? There isn't a cap to it. It's based on a lot area.
Okay.
Right.
And are you using a lot of the changes that we've talked about, like the development charges, the site plan? Is that all going to benefit you in this project?
So we did start this project before Bill 23 was out.
Okay.
We can benefit from more of the development charges than like the site plan control that we're in right now.
Right, because you already started that process.
We already started the process. That's the thing, right? So there was a date to like any of your project stat. If you didn't meet that date, it doesn't reflect on Bill 23 or such, right? But that's one project that we're working on, and I'm bringing more to the table with other investors up in Barrie who are looking to buy properties that they want to buy side by side and either merge them or convert them somehow. Right.
And how would that benefit having a side by side lot? Like, what's the benefit there? Is it because there's less than 10 units per lot or something like that, or how does that work?
So the idea is that I'm presenting right now, and again, this is all like brand new to all of us, is like when you buy 2 side by side units, what you can do is if they're either vacant or they're old houses, single detached, whatever the case is, you can demolish them and build 2 10-plexes and put a firewall in between where the property line is, so it looks like a 20-plex, but really 2 10-plex on like 2 different lots, so you don't have to go to site plan control. And so you have 20 units under the same sort of area that you can work under.
Right, so you're still getting a 20-unit building, but you're skipping site plan control on both of those, so the process is faster. You're saving a lot of money on the development, obviously.
Yes.
And so that's immediately taking advantage of what we've just found out about the site plan control to help, I guess, move that project along faster and saving time and money. Some cities are more open to working with you than others. If the city pushes back on one of your plans quite aggressively, what are you guys doing to counteract that?
Yeah, 100%. So now that the whole Bill 23 is out and some cities are interpreting it in different ways, and we've had 1 or 2 situations where cities really pushing back against it. Okay. What we've spoken to some planners about is hiring a land use lawyer This lawyer specializes in the whole planning act. That's what they do on a daily basis. So our land use lawyer would speak to the city's lawyer and try to come up with some sort of negotiation between them to allow our triplex to go through, right, without going through minor variance.
Right, so you guys have a land use lawyer that you work with that you're bringing in to back you up and to fight for you and your clients to push it through against not just the city's planner, but the city's lawyers as well?
100%, because now we have to deal with the city planner and now we got to deal with the city lawyer, right? And our planner can't really go against their lawyer. That's not how it works. We need our own lawyer involved in this project to go against them.
And how common is something like that? Is that kind of in your back pocket for when you need it, or is that happening every project?
So this is the situation we're in. Anything to do with like the GTA area, even a little bit outside, like Hamilton and St. Catharines, they're fine. It's all these outside cities are kind of giving us a hard time in their interpretation of Bill 23.
Right. So you're just going at them with everything you've got, just to make sure, I guess, you have more chance of success with your clients. Right?
Yeah, with me at least, when working with me, I'm just trying to get everything by the books properly, and everybody's on the same page. If there's some sort of misunderstanding, then it's just going to create a whole avalanche of issues in the end of the day.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. And I'm just curious, so where can people find out more about yourself or Build 23, or even get help to have you look at some of their projects?
So basically my main source of messaging is Instagram. So you can find me at Rojas Empire, one word. Just DM me any sort of questions you guys have, and just feel free to open up that conversation, right? More than open to just pick up a phone call and just get into a deep discussion here.
Amazing. Yeah, I appreciate you helping us out today and sharing all this. This is going to be a hot topic for the next many years, I'm sure, and I'm sure you're going to be swamped with questions, so I appreciate that. If you want to chat with Henry or myself and learn more about this bill and how it can help your project, just reach out, obviously, on Instagram. We'll share notes in the comments as well. And yeah, thanks so much for joining us.
Not a problem, man.
All right. Awesome.